Howdy, guys. How we doing? This is Jim Francis, Juicy Divas, Confessions of a Limo Driver, as well as Almost Famous, the host of both of these awesome podcasts. And I have quite a show tonight. It'll be one for the books, an epic one as always. I have a great gentleman this evening. He is amazing. He's a CEO of his own company. I love anytime you get someone that's founded his company and it's part of the arts, and also add to this more accolades to add to, if I may say. He's also an English teacher. So I mean, as you know, I'm a substitute teacher and can hardly wait to hear all about it. How he got his start and how he created this awesome company. Without further ado, you guys help me welcome Mr. John Rodgers.
Woo! Thanks for that introduction, Jim. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. I'll give you 1 second here. Let's make sure all the juices are flowing up in this bad house.
Yeah.
I am super stoked. I mean, obviously, the wonderful, the one and only super ultra talented Jennifer Messina with the Messina Mafia. Obviously, made that introduction for us to make this a reality, for us to crystallize this talk, this heart to heart, this combo, this great chat. We're about to have. I want to, just sort of kind of allow you to give you the platform so that we can talk about this communications by captivation company that you started. Right. I want you to share with us in full detail. How did you start? I mean, first of all, where'd you hail from? Your humble beginnings, how you dabbled in education. I don't understand you're an educator as well. Facilitating for other students, for the next generation. Bravo, bro. Tip my hat off to you, my man. You have the platform, John. Go ahead.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Jim, for that wonderful introduction. So, hey, everyone, my name is John Rodgers, and I run Communication by Captivation. It sounds like a lot of you are familiar with Jennifer Messina. She is not only my business partner, but we actually went to high school together once upon a time.
Get out of here. You serious?
Yeah. Jen and I both grew up attending Pinkerton Academy in Derry, New Hampshire.
Nice.
And I see there's a background for Hollywood. So, if you're from the Hollywood area, we're talking about the exact opposite. Just below Montreal, Canada. So yeah, Jen and I had, done a lot of theater together in high school, and, we didn't know at the time, but we would eventually go on to become business partners with Communication by Captivation. But yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about Communication by Captivation, or CBC for short. It did start. The exact start time is kind of elusive even to me. Right. It was always just an extension of my creative endeavors, I guess you can say. Jen and I had met doing theater, so naturally there was a lot of theater projects that I would engage in over the years. And our first production that we, CBC funded itself was something called Frank's Life, which, if you ever seen The Truman Show, it's like the original play version of that concept of a guy whose life is a TV show and he has no idea.
I love it.
Yeah, and we started at a small community center in Derry, New Hampshire, and then, it was kind of just like a name that we'd put a lot of miscellaneous projects that I'd engage in, that where it would be a collaboration with other artists of all different shapes and sizes, and it wasn't until me and a couple other people in the organization, Devro Geiger and Sam Druin. Also, Devro did not go to high school with us. Sam did. But Devro, Sam, and I wrote a musical about robots in the future. And then COVID happened.
Put a damper on it, huh?
Yeah. So right then and there, a lot of chances to put it on live were kind of dashed. So we actually started venturing out into the world of cartoons and animation. And I think that was the spark that really got us into becoming much more than just something that we would put as an umbrella term for some like theater projects or, like some little short, silly film project.
Watershed moment.
Yeah, and so yeah, we came up with something called Serious AI, a post-apocalyptic musical,
I love
and
it.
ever since then, people have been asking us to make cartoons for them. And we've also got some live theater going on in Austin, Texas, currently.
Awesome.
Um, and we actually, Jen
A
is
North Star.
spearheading. Yeah, Jen is spearheading our new division, CBC Film, because we've had a lot of people come up to us and ask us for music videos, things of the sort. So really, we're just a bunch of. I mean, at the end of the day, we are just a collection of multimedia artists who are leveraging the internet for the powers of good and all that is beautiful in this world as a means of collaboration. We do not use AI to produce our material. That's a whole philosophical discussion we can have, and happy to do it. But for the most part, we, our technology kind of ends for us once we are able to, communicate back and forth. But
Okay.
everyone on our team, yeah, we find projects and we do those projects. Anyone that has any creative projects that they're trying to do, like we are the people who can bring it from concept to reality. So
I
yeah,
love that. Yeah.
yeah. So I guess
You guys are like benefactors in the creative world. But I want to back up a little and talk about English teacher.
yeah,
You
absolutely.
wanted to get, was that something like your folks? Many a times I can recall my parents telling me um, Jimmy, they call me Jimmy after Jimmy Carter because I was born during the Carter administration. Um, that's how old I am. They would say you need to get a degree in something that's more practical, something that you can bring, like you can almost already see a future kind of laid out for you, if you will. Um, and so I decided to get a degree in political science. Obviously, all that's on paper only, so that I can show that certificate to my folks and make it like solidify the fact that I was doing something in school other than my passion for the arts as well.
Mm.
Was that something that um pretty much would you echo that same story? Would you say like your parents had that same sentiment? A lot of folks don't want you to get like degrees in theater or anything else, or is that kind of are we cut from the same cloth here?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a familiar story
Mhm.
for myself. I, as not only would I teach English, but I also would like teach a lot of like middle school and high school drama programs. And
Okay.
a lot of kids would want to go into acting or some kind of performance for their major. And, it's always a tricky conversation because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I think this is an industry that requires people to you don't necessarily need a piece of paper to show that you can do something. It's, hey,
Yeah,
do you want to show us that you can sing and dance, or do you want to show us a piece of paper that says you can sing and dance?
exactly. It's kind of
Yeah,
a counterintuitive or like an oxymoron, right? Like you
yeah,
have a paper, but it's almost like you have a paper, but there's no talent. I mean, not that there isn't. I'm just saying, like we kind of
yeah.
show our talents, and that's how we sort of show kind of the stamp of who we are versus on a fancy piece of paper, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's such a tricky conversation to navigate, and it's going to be hard to summarize it all up into just a few short sentences right here. But
Mhm.
I suppose what I would say is that I went to community college first. If there was one absolute piece of advice I'd give anyone in high school and looking to make the next move in education, I would always tell them take a year off, discover yourself without paying all that money to discover yourself, and
Sure.
then make plans based off that. So I'm always a big advocate for taking a gap year between high school and college
Mhm.
and going to community college so that you really can experience going into adulthood and figuring out like yes, we all I mean, I know a lot of people who like to sing, dance, and act, but at the same time, is it something that you always want to
It's
be known
sustainable.
only for? Yes,
Mhm.
sustainability.
Mhm.
I will say that people who do tend to go to school for the arts, I have never seen any of them like bomb an interview for a job. There's a lot of good skills that are taught in that. However, when it comes down to, hey, sustainability, like how are you going to get your paychecks? I went to community college and I was just, general education. It wasn't until I transferred into my 4-year university that I decided that I wanted to do teaching. Now, don't get me wrong. I love teaching. I really like working with kids of all ages. I like teaching them about English, theater, anything else. Sorry, what was that?
What would you say is the most rewarding thing about your teaching style, if you will? Do you incorporate all those things in how you teach them, or is it once like niche? Like, oh, by the way, is this elementary school or high school?
Yeah, so I've kind of taught a lot of different places.
Because it changes, right? It changes. It varies between the grade level. Like it's in other words, let me be more specific. So if it's high school, then it's obviously you're going to stick by the book, right? But if it's elementary, you tend to have a little more wiggle room to add other components, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I think that with elementary schoolers, it's a lot more about making sure that they can make it through the day and also learn. Whereas, by high school, we kind of expect the kids to know how to take care of themselves. Me personally, so I got my degree in 6th through 12th grade English. But I actually taught in China for a little over a year.
Wait, back up. China, bro? So
yeah.
do you speak Chinese?
I haven't spoken it since I had to escape during COVID. So it's been about 5 years since I actively spoke Chinese, but my Chinese can get me by. As I said, I haven't been speaking it for a little while, but there was a time where I was very proficient at, communicating and getting around in Beijing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm hearing you out and I'm thinking like you guys have so many common traits between you and Jennifer. There isn't anything that that girl cannot do. Like you guys materialize it all. I'm very taken aback in a cool way, man. Like just dumbfounded. Pretty amazing stuff. And we're just kind of pulling back on a few layers here, if you will. I'm interested too how would a day play out in your classroom, Mr. Rodgers?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I even have the sweater vest. I didn't put it on for this, but yeah, I guess my question is, I mean, I've taught elementary school, I've taught middle school, I've taught high school, I've taught English learners. What would you like me to describe out of those?
Elementary school would be basically I would like elementary school because
elementary. Gotcha.
I think it gives you they allow for creativity, like I had mentioned before. Sort of kind of different nuances throughout the day versus high school where it's very rigorous and grueling almost. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the elementary that I've worked at, I taught a mixed class of 3rd and 4th graders at a place called Sparhawk. It's a private school, or sorry, I should say it was a private school in Amesbury, Massachusetts. Unfortunately, they have closed since then.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'd worked there for about a year and a half, and it was, COVID had just happened. I ended up having to go back to the States. I had a New Hampshire residence or license, and then my parents had moved, and whole thing about residences and my driver's license. So anyway, so when I got back to where my parents were in Massachusetts, I was looking for some teaching jobs, and this school picked me up pretty quickly. I told them I'd never really worked as a full-time school teacher for elementary schoolers, and they insisted I give it a try, and I did. And honestly, I don't regret it at all. Elementary schoolers they're funny because like in middle school and high school, the group of kids comes to your class once a day for like an hour. And then elementary schoolers, they're just like ducks that follow me around all day. And
I like that analogy, by the way.
And as long as you can make it engaging and fun for them, I really like the energy that elementary schoolers are able to bring, specifically 3rd and 4th graders. But every day my class would start, a little morning meeting where we would go over the whiteboard. We'd go over the agenda for today, the things that we need to do. We'd also have any show and tell presentations.
Awesome.
And then one thing that I pride myself on quite a lot, and I don't have any, actually, I might be able to bring one up and show you, but I pride myself on an economic system called the John Book.
What?
And like, I thought it would only work in elementary schoolers, but it works on high schoolers too.
Please share the wealth.
Yeah, absolutely. So the okay. So is it okay if I share my screen?
Of course.
Excellent.
I told Messina, this is your show.
Absolutely. So this is one of my John books. I had made this in Canva. You got me dabbing right there. I was at a place called KIPP, Texas. KIPP is a pretty big charter school system. This isn't the one I use for the elementary school, but it's the same format. And essentially, I just print off a bunch of these bad boys early in the year. And at first, all the kids are gonna say like, "Oh, this is fake money. Like, I can't actually buy anything with this." But if you honor that John book, and if you make sure that, and if you offer things to kids like, "Hey, you want to use your phone for class? That's going to be 40 John bucks." And they're like,
"That's right.
Mister, I don't have 40 John bucks." And I'm like, "Oh, well, you can get it by, doing this. I have some chores in the classroom. You can do anything you want. I pay for a lot of things." And, it crazy enough, if you just stick by a fake currency in your classroom, that like it will work. It will work.
Well,
and
at the end of the day, it's like a token of sorts, and you're rewarding your students for any success that they're doing. It sounds like, and that I applaud you because it's commendable work, because that is exactly, and you made it very tailored to your classroom, because obviously you're the mentor. I love that, and you're like as such you become the president almost.
Yeah,
I like how you did that. The other thing is it caught my attention that the dab, you made it so suitable for that group of students, something that they can relate to. It's very relatable. In today's society, we tend to we tend to go on like about our day-to-day lives and not think of, especially for us facilitators and educators, we forget that there's a gap between and thankfully the gap is closing because of social media, thankfully, and the fact that the president now, or president-elect's he's gonna try to extend the TikTok. So shout out to that, but I want to say that it's very important, like that we relate, that we do things that are relatable to the students, and you doing that shows that you're carefully, it was really methodically done. So congrats, John.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, my philosophy with teaching is that kids are just small people. They don't always want to be called small, but they like, my job is to make sure that they are smart, that they are confident, and that they are able to become essentially another adult that I would be proud of being, in the same area as. And
they're going to be running our country soon, buddy. So
they are, exactly. Yeah. So I've never really struggled getting onto the same page as students.
Good.
Administration is a bit of a different story. I have a very distinct flavor to my teaching, and not that it causes problems, but I have a very specific ways that what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to teaching, a lot of teachers, think about, who am I serving?
Right.
And sometimes we feel like we're serving the admin of the school. Sometimes we feel like we're serving the parents of the kids. But at the end of the day, my first and foremost customer is the students, making sure that they are getting what they deserve to get out of it.
I like that you invariably think about the students first and not the politics and the red tape, because there's a lot of what you can do, what you can. Hence why a lot of books are like made in such a way where it's a one size fits all sort of credo for like a blanket, kind of learning for the students. But I like that you have your own style and of teaching, and you think about the students before anything else. And that's really awesome. A lot of people, they like here in LA, for example, LA USD, one of the big districts in Los Angeles, is the second biggest in the country, as I understand it, New York being the first. That's not the case. Many a times, the politics is involved, the hierarchy. You can't, tell me that, because I'm, after all, you're an administrator, so it's got to be done this way. But we can go down that rabbit hole another time. I wanted to really, communication by captivation is something that, like, I saw a post with you and Jan, our good homegirl Jan, and like I saw it and I go, oh, that's so cool, man. And she had talked to me, she told me about you. She spoke volumes about how cool you are and how it would be fantastic to have you on the show. And I thought, you know what? Why not? Like, let's do it. Like, we ought to do this like yesterday. So here we are, hence why you're here tonight. So what inspired you? Obviously, not just the arts for obvious reasons, but to kind of do something so audacious, like as creating this network of people. Like, how did you start? I'd like to know how did it all begin from day one, from ground zero?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we should start with the name. Luckily, whenever people, I don't have to deal with the question of like, okay, so what does your group do? Our group's name is pretty self-explanatory. Our whole mission is, communication. Communication is the reason that we're here. At least, for me, I firmly believe that humans are here to communicate with one another, and not just one another, but also with the rest of the world. Our communication is one of our best gifts that we have, and it would not hurt to captivate your audience a little bit while you do that communicating. And captivation can take shape in so many different ways. And that's how we get art. That is how we get different ways to communicate. As an English person, one of my favorite things about English, and, I guess this doesn't not just English, but any kind of language, is the fact that when you read a book from 1,000 years ago, you are communicating with the person who lived 1,000 years ago.
Wow. That's deep, bro. It's profound.
Heck yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And, my goal, I mean, we have 3 main divisions with CBC. We have our film, we have cartoons, and we have theater. And theater was kind of where it all started. Having a bunch of people come to a room and watch a bunch of people who are trying to communicate something, and then they get ideas from what they just watched, and then there's a conversation going on. So theater was definitely our first big venture when it came to productions. As I had mentioned in the beginning, Jen and I grew up doing theater together. Theater is a very accessible art form. Unfortunately, it is also not an art form that the general public typically sponsors anymore, because, we have Hulu, we have Netflix, we have Xbox, we have computer games where, you don't have to leave the house to be entertained anymore.
But what if we unplugged, right? What if at one point we're off the grid, literally, because something went haywire and we're left with no electricity, with no gizmos, with nothing, no phones. And then we're going to circle back to the times when we did theater and how impactful theater is, because it's like jazz, right? Each time you do theater, it's done differently.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's magical in its nature. Go ahead.
And I don't want to spend too much time talking about any one specific project, but that's actually been a big challenge, because a lot of our theater happens in Austin, Texas right now. And we actually came up with this show concept called Theater Against Humanity. And if you've ever played Cards Against Humanity, you might know what it sounds like. It is an abridged version of like classic stories. Like, we're going to be doing Peter Pan. We're doing a Star Wars show, which is supposed to be a Star Wars parody in May. And we just signed on for doing A Christmas Carol next December. And the actors, they learn all the lines, they get minimal props and costumes. And then when the audience gets there, the audience gets to influence the show by putting in cards and making the actors, have to read some Cards Against Humanity.
So it's immersive.
It's very immersive. Some people like to call it improv, but it's more so we're trying to mess the actors up. And the actors are just very skillful at getting back. And, where else can you do that? You can do video games, but, you can watch Netflix. But if you really want to impact the art that's right in front of you, we really feel like this is a really good option for bringing back that theatrical stuff. So yeah, communication by captivation, it started off with theater, and as I had mentioned, we eventually grew to incorporate more artists of different shapes and sizes. The thing about theater is that everyone just wants to get involved with it, whereas once you hit cartoons and film, it's much more about the industry. It's much more about how much budget do you have for the specific project, how much what kind of market are we aiming for. Theater is much more about just getting in there and doing art for art's sake, whereas film and cartoon need to be much more strategically precise. But I would, I don't want, I know that, you want to know a lot. I would be glad to give you the tour of our website and everything.
I think that's the next thing. You and I would jump on a Zoom, and then we can navigate around it at some other time.
Sure.
What about the animation? So I take it you draw yourself?
Sure. Yeah. So as far as drawing goes, I primarily do storyboards. And then a lot of other people on our team typically jump in there to, make it look better and to actually get into the nitty gritty of the animation itself. So we have a lot of people on our team. We have anywhere from concept artists to background illustrators. We have specifically rig animators. We have people who create animatics. So there's I guess to an outside perspective, the question is, do you draw can sometimes translate to, oh, you must do everything then. But, there's artists that, are exceedingly good about designing characters. So that's where they would fit in with the sketch stuff. We have people
stay in your lane, right? Sort of kind of stay in your lane. Like each person, it's very niche specific.
Yeah, at least for each project. Each project, there's some, for me personally, I do storyboards, but I could also record some voice acting or something like that. And it really comes down to what project and who's assigned to what. So it's kind of like a theater production, every single show you do, there's going to be a different director. There's going to be someone else in the lead role. There's going to be a different ensemble, different person designing the costumes. And every single cartoon project that we do with CBC is very much the same. We still have kind of a limited pool, not a limited pool, but our talent, we keep a tight ship and a tight team.
Right.
So typically it's some of the same people doing the same thing for every project, but for the most part, it does, let's take Max. He's our animation director. Max is not the only animator, but he does create the animatic, which is the step between storyboards and final animation, so that he can give the instruction to our team of animators. A lot
of moving parts, huh? Seems.
A lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of patience involved with it. And depending on the size of the project, depending on how fast the client wants to move, we could be working with anywhere from 2 animators to 10. And it really just depends on how big of an assignment it is and how fast that they want us to turn it around. But yeah.
What's the future to communications by captivation? What do you see happening in the next few years?
Yeah, absolutely. So our 2 big goals right now is we are trying to get a 10-episode season of Serious AI, a post-apocalyptic musical, funded, or just someone to buy the property from us straight off.
Right.
We have a lot. I mean, if you're familiar with shows like Steven Universe, Disney, it has 2D Disney animation. There's a lot of Adventure Time. We've seen a lot of shows, especially in the 2010s, that our show tends to take a lot of inspiration from. And so our goal is to get a 10-episode season picked up for Sirius. And then as far as the theater side, we are planning on franchising the Theater Against Humanity concept next year. And as far as the film stuff, that is a brand new division as of the turn of the year. So as of right now, it's just, hey, let's just have some fun making film projects. But as far as the theater and animation, those are our 2 big things.
Are you having are you looking to do like film festivals locally or?
Yeah, so actually, Sirius was nominated to be shown at the San Diego Kids International Film Festival last year. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, and you can also find the full pilot online. The 10-minute pilot has 2 songs in it. You can easily find that on YouTube. And we're just chugging away at doing the rest of things. So we have taken it to some film festivals. Jen and I actually were just at Anime Los Angeles last weekend.
I was gonna ask you about that. How'd it go?
It went pretty good. We weren't in costume. We were kind of just wearing our t-shirts. And we are hoping to go on a big convention tour this year where we'll have a booth, try to get some crowdfunding for Sirius. Maybe we'll play some Theater Against Humanity, and just try to, really reach out to more of a fan base. So
You should have called me. I'm 6'5", and I could have worn it like a billboard. Blips.
I mean, I'll have to have a conversation with Jen as to why she didn't suggest it.
Yeah, I don't know. Honest to God, I don't know what happened there because I had I have my son right now. He's out of school, like for the holidays and whatnot, and he goes to university. So university levels they usually allow us a little longer than most people. They could have gone, and all 5 of them would have been able to wear the shirts around.
Oh,
So
fantastic!
Yeah, my son's all into business. You got to meet him marketing, and the guy's he's a brain and he's a prodigy. Honest to God, he's next level. You and him would get along just fine. 20-year-old kid, pretty sharp.
Oh, fantastic! Well, I'd love to meet him someday.
But most definitely, let's talk about that at some point, and then collaborating. I mean, there's a lot that can be done. I'm going to link you in with some other people that do film festivals on a local level, and they're doing great things. On this company, I'll tell you all about it. When we get a chance to jump on a call, and then we could talk about other projects that you and I wanted to speak about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, and we talked about that. Let's see. Do you find documentaries to be another branch that you're going to hopefully at some point pursue?
Yeah, I mean, as far as, documentary is more of a narrative style than, I mean, I guess you could make a cartoon documentary. I actually haven't seen
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, it would. Like, I'm thinking about The Office, except like animated. But as far as documentaries go, as I had mentioned, our film department is kind of just starting. Jen is kicking us off.
Branch, right? Like a sub branch of the film, I suppose.
Yeah.
So that answers that question.
Yeah, Jennifer is kicking us off with her first music video. And we actually already have, Austin, Texas is full of musicians. So we actually have a few amount of musicians looking to collaborate with us on music videos. And as far as documentaries, that is not something at all that we would be opposed to. It's more so no one's asked us to make one yet. So yeah, but as far, we definitely have everything that we need to be able to do that. As I said, it's mostly a narrative choice rather than,
Your information philosophy about things. Obviously, you and I being teachers, it's piqued my interest, man. I mean, definitely, you and I could. I like to contribute if possible to everything you guys are doing, and I'm really excited about what holds for the future. Are you going? Wait, are you going to be at another? Are you going to be at another convention? Is there like a one in Austin, or that's just happening now?
Yeah, so I am also in Los Angeles currently. I'm here till the end of the month. I made a fatal mistake on my end. I was, doing some convention research, and I saw there was a fan expo in Orange County at the beginning of February.
Yeah,
and it wasn't until after my girlfriend and we got here, and we've been hanging out with Jen for a bit, doing some business stuff. We went to Anime Los Angeles, and then I realized, Orange County, Florida. So yeah, so as of this month, our goal was to just hit up Anime Los Angeles. And
it wasn't a blunder. It just wasn't meant to be. It wasn't in the cards.
Exactly.
I always remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. But our next target is South by Southwest, which is conveniently located in Austin. And then we have a few other conventions we're looking at, but the one that pops into my head right now is in our home state of New Hampshire. We have something called Granite Con, and it's called Granite Con because New Hampshire is known for its granite rock. So anyway, a lot of our team members live up in the area, so we were gonna definitely hit up Granite Con. So that is, so South by Southwest and Granite Con are the two that pop into my head as far as conventions for this calendar year.
You know what I also see? I see you guys having a mentorship program, because obviously you're a teacher, and I think for sure I must have taken that, stolen that right off your brain. You're about to say that you have a mentorship program, right? Because that's one thing that I think that a lot of people lack. Mentorship, like to mentor someone, take somebody under your wing and help them. So help like the next kind of folks behind you, specifically the younger audience, younger people that nowadays they have so many tools, and kind of make it a teachable moment to then help them become the next players, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we do. I mean, to fulfill some of my financial obligations, I do private tutoring as far as English goes. But we do offer classes with communication by captivation. Anything that we do, even if I'm not the one that's going to be the teacher, like if someone specifically is looking at how do you rig animated characters, unfortunately, that's out of my knowledge. How
your wheelhouse.
I know what a rig is, and I know how you make one, and I know how to utilize one. I've never personally made a rig, but we do have teachers who would be able to teach someone how to rig and everything like that. We have composers if someone wants to take a music writing lesson. As far as mentorship goes, I think education is an absolute necessity of communication by captivation.
And Jen's vocals, don't forget, her writing skills.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited for Jen's music video to get released.
She is fantastic, dude. What's the name of the new video? The new song?
It's called No Longer Wasted.
Oh, dude, I love the song. I uploaded a I'm a huge fan. I uploaded the song. It's the one on Spotify.
Yeah,
she's wearing the hat kind of slanted to the side. She's got like a tattoo. Oh, dude, that song grabs me every time. I told her, like, even, dude, that song is powerful, and it did jolt me, man. Like, wow, because it to me, it spoke to me like in certain ways and stuff that I was like, damn, blown at it.
Jen has a very strong ability to really cut to the core of what the emotional and the philosophical message of her work is, and especially, I mean, it literally ends with the direct line to the suicide prevention hotline. So Jen's being very vulnerable, and she's in her art, and she I'm really excited for it to come out, and I'm glad that it speaks volumes to so many people.
That's so badass. Any closing thoughts before we pull the plug on this badass interview?
Yeah. Well, I mean, my only closing thoughts is, thank you so much for having me come on. Communication by captivation. It's funny because some people have asked me before, like, hey, do you ever have any plans to get stop with communication by captivation? And my only answer to that is, well, I don't plan on not communicating with people anymore, so why would I stop captivating them? So yeah, thank you.
Simplicity at its finest. Let's captivate them. Yeah,
exactly. Everyone thinks it's a really long. Everyone thinks it's a really long company name, but I think it just avoids us having to repeat what we're doing at the end of the day. So that's my last closing thought. And Jim, I really appreciate you having me on.
Are you kidding me? I was super schooled, and I think I learned a thing or two tonight. Want to know what are your social media handles? Viewership can tune in and start following you.
Yeah, absolutely. So as of right now, it's pretty straightforward. We have Facebook and Instagram for all three of our branches. It's pretty easy to find. Just CBC film, CBC theater, and CBC cartoons. And then we also have we have 2 YouTube channels. I highly recommend you check out Serious AI, a post-apocalyptic musical. That's our biggest property. It's where we have the most eggs in our basket. And we have really high hopes for Serious AI, SASIRIUS AI, a post-apocalyptic musical. We have a full pilot on our YouTube channel. And then we have another Communication by Captivation YouTube channel, which is more so just for miscellaneous uploads that don't fit into anything else at the moment. So that's our handles.
Bro, you rock, man. Keep on rocking in the free world, man. My man, John Rodgers, you are fantastic.
Thank you, Jim. You're pretty awesome yourself.
Oh, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I'm humbled. Say hi to Jen. Tell her we gotta grab dinner again. It's been a while, and we should probably have lunch prior to your departure from LA.
Yeah. I mean, Jen had just left. Actually, I just dropped her off at the airport this morning. But I
That's
think
customary of her. She's always flying around, business everywhere.
Jen
She's about it, man.
Jen's going to be back next week. And then I believe we're going to Vegas on the 29th. So anyway, point being is that I'll text you and see what we can do, because I'd love to meet you in person.
Yeah, that's definitely so. We can also talk about those projects that I wanted to do. I wanted to see if I could run by you. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, say hi to Jen, and it was a pleasure, real pleasure having you on. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my show. John Rodgers.
Yeah. Everyone have a great night. Thank you.